Thank you for checking out this little teaser of the history of the papacy and church. Here's a little taste of what's coming up soon on the History of the Papacy podcast. Now, if you like what you hear, I'd love it if you'd leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. If you want to support the podcast even more, consider becoming a Patreon on patreon.com/history of the papacy. There are many levels and benefits for you, and you help keep the history of the papacy going. You can learn more about all of this at historyofthepapacypodcast.com. With that, here's another piece of the mosaic of the popes of Rome and Christian church, and I will definitely be talking to you more soon.
Oh, absolutely. If you think back to the reason for the concept of ritual purity, God is holy. And in fact, God is holiness. God is the very definition of holiness, which is to say ultimate purity and ultimate perfection. So God is holy. Now, let's say you want to worship God. You want to come into God's presence in the temple. Well, you can't if you're impure. So there are all these rules about what makes you unclean, right? And for your listeners, I'm putting air quotes around unclean, but so all of these rules around what makes a person unclean, ultimately what that's saying is, here are the conditions under which you are not allowed to approach the presence of God. Now, you want to approach the presence of God, so you need to do something to purify yourself. You take this ritual bath. In the Christian context, then, baptism becomes the thing that purifies you so that you can approach the presence of God, now not in the temple, but in the Eucharist. You can approach the presence of God now, but if you sin, now you don't get baptized again, but you are going to need to do something to purify yourself again, which is why the church developed the sacrament of confession and reconciliation. So you get reconciled. And when you die, you need a purification that will finally purify you of everything that's left, so that you can enter into the presence of God in paradise. And that's what we call purgatory.